Hey YouTube, Lawler is always coming at you with you guys for a recap. NA Open 2 has officially concluded in some pretty crazy storylines. If you guys haven't stayed up to date, as always, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on the results. And on top of that, make sure if you guys haven't already, check out the socials and all that fun stuff as it helps me out greatly. But the thing we're going to be talking about today is North American Open 2. If you guys did not see the results, don't worry, we got you covered. Quick recap of all things NA. A couple major storylines if you guys didn't see the recap video for the top 16 teams. Quick overview, big things to note. Number one, no space station gaming. No space station gaming. They admitted to trolling in this series and could not make it through. So no space station, which opens the door for a lot of teams. Pioneers was back with JNAPs. We had yet to see JNAPs compete. We're also trying to ask questions. Are we going to see teams solidify themselves as the top two? Is NRG going to show more consistency as they build and develop? Are Ultimates going to solidify themselves as the top two? Is Complexity going to continue to show consistency? And then where was the rest of this region going to fall through? We had teams like 9 Lives get a top 4. We had teams like Deleted super close in that game 7. What was the second iteration going to look like? Because that's where I've been kind of holding my tongue on. Is when we get a second chance to look at these teams, what was that going to be? I will say, as a reminder, no tech, no comm, talk, or Evo in this region. No space station in this regional. A lot of things could have changed when you have that level of competition, because I do think both of those teams are fully capable of making consistent top 8, top 6, which changes a lot for the point ranking. So because those two have been completely removed, tech with literally 0 points, and Space Station getting second place, having 10 overall points. That's a pretty big deal. The other conversation, like Scuff is saying in chat, no gas. This is the first time in 44 online events, Garrett G did not make a top 16. He has been there since every single one since season 1, has been there for every single season of RLCS. It's the first time that Garrett does not make a top 16 in his career, which makes sense if you're not playing and grinding as much. Makes sense. So, with that said, we do have our top 16 as we saw up top here. Pioneers being new one. Tree Lamp, a new team most people don't know, was up with Life coming back in. Life was the Switch kid we were talking about. Woo also new. Full French roster. Netherlands, Canada, who you guys know from last year. So some familiar faces, some new faces. Talladega is the ex-deleted XD team before they picked up Andy, Gyro, and Wavy. So that's where we're at. What do we get for the results? We get our top 16 and Group A as follows. Complexity wins all the way through. Looking pretty dang solid and consistent, which is what we were expecting out of Complexity. I think high ceiling or high floor, low ceiling. I don't think they peak much higher, but I do think overall you are going to get a lot of aggression, going to get a lot of offense. On the other side of that, inconsistencies with Shopify, highs and lows. Despite having that, they do find a way with a lot of game 5, able to make it all the way through lowers and beat the competition in front of them. Pretty big upset over Pirates on a boat. 5 up in the boys just cannot stand up to it. And some convincing wins actually from Shopify. This is probably the first time they've looked back to the conversation when it came to the end of last season when they played in that tiebreaker. Glimpses of that. We started seeing it a little bit early. On the other side of things, team that I'm very selfish towards in Team Evo, Speed, Relating Wave, and Arju. Arju is showcasing why he has been slept on for a while. Kid is playing some dang good Rocket League. Team Evo, similar to Complexity, you know exactly what you're getting, but they just play clean, simple, rotational Rocket League. They play Rocket League fundamentally sound, but they do still have moments of infield pass plays, urgency. Like there was times, and it's weird to say, like Relating Wave was just outpacing people to the ball. It was pretty nice. So benefits of being on campus with each other, pretty much full boot camp. Outside of I think Arju, pretty cool stuff. So good to see Team Evo play well. Very close series. Came down to the wire in an OT. So they could have been the high seed. Instead, they go in as like the 2nd or 4th seed. I forget which one, or the 3rd or 4th seed. I forget which one their group. So they're probably 3 seed. On Group B, NRG doesn't even blink. We did get an early iteration of what I thought could have been the Grand Finals match. NRG does take that one. They seem to be unstoppable at this point. Outside of that, Deleted continues to fight their demons, and one of them being Gen G. Gen G and 9 Lives just have Deleted's number. They're going to continue to lose those series because Deleted as well is, to me, just a lesser team Evo. They have a play style. It's very formulaic. It's very templated. You know exactly what you're getting. But when you disrupt, when you get in their face, when you win those challenges early, there's not a whole lot they can do to get around it unless Wavy has a worldie of a series. So Gen G is Disruption Kings. They end up beating, but they can't handle the pace of Ultimates. 9 Lives does battle 3 Lowers after dropping early. You guys have heard me talk about predictions earlier with 9 Lives, how they start a little bit slower. My prediction, I think initially I said 9 Lives. While they will start slow, they will win in game 5. Omelets does get an upset, which causes some chaos in the lowers. It does end up making it so a team like Gen G does not make top 8 again. They are missing out on some serious points. Chances of going to the major are pretty much non-existent unless they win the entire thing. It's going to be tough. As for 9 Lives and Deleted, they both, despite fighting each other, again, Deleted loses again to 9 Lives. This time not as close. We've seen a game 5. We've seen a game 7. This time it's a sweep. 9 Lives solidifying themselves as probably one of the better teams, probably in that 5th ranking place. Depending on if SSG performs the way they do, like they did last time. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, 9 Lives over Deleted. Both of them kind of giving us a fight for who is going to be that team that has a better chance of making the major, with SSG kind of shooting themselves in the foot. With that, we get our 8 teams. Netherlands, Canada is the other one that came through on the other group. But in my assessment, the top 8 teams, the ones I would pick to make it through, pretty much made it through. The only one that maybe you see difference is Gen G over Deleted, depending on how matchups line up. And maybe Pirates on a boat instead of Netherlands, Canada, depending on how matchups line up. So things going pretty much as expected in North America. You're going to see more of that in the upper bracket at the bottom here. Ultimates and Complexity had a great series. Super fun. 4 OTs to close it out. Quite the battle. Complexity came out of the gate swinging. From what I am seeing, and I'm going to try to push this narrative, and we'll see if you guys agree. Let me know in the comments down below. I think Ultimates is a team that when they start making a run, like say they get knocked down to lowers early or whatever, and they start building momentum, they are a dangerous team. This is probably the best first killer has looked in a year. He looks so good with this roster. Chronic playing out of his dang mind. I feel they are kind of a slow start as well. Obviously a much higher version of that compared to teams like 9 Lives. But when they get ramped up, dude, they are unbelievable with how good they can be. So glad to see Ultimates really putting up a fight. And on the contrast to that, Complexity also making sure they're earning it. So very good series, probably one of the better series of the weekend. On the other side, then we did have NRG and Team Evo, and Evo did play it closely. 2 1-goal games. These could have been the difference maker for the roster. But eventually, even with the timeout, they do bring one back in OT. But I think something to pay attention to with Evo, their losses this weekend: Ultimates, NRG, and Complexity. The 3 best teams in the region are the only teams beating Team Evo currently. It's a pretty good feeling if you're Team Evo. It's a case to be top 4. So, Team Evo, the little engine that could from Europe, the washed up, overrated, not that great of players, proving that they can still do it. Very happy for Speed and the team. Very, very happy for them. I think it's awesome to see some veterans, a little bit older, kind of taking that next chapter in life, showing that they can still hang with clean, intelligent Rocket League. And like, let's be perfectly clear, Arju in this series and in this series. If you guys want to go back and watch what I'm talking about Arju, go check out this series. It was incredible. Arju, like, he had one play where he went off sidewall and like held his challenge for like a good couple seconds, turned it into a flip reset double. And it was just like, Jesus, dude. Played really well. I make comparisons to Arju as like a lesser Itachi. Very good challenge game. Creates a lot of opportunities for his team. Very smart with his boost control. Definitely had some mechis to show with it this time too. Lower side of the bracket, we did a Shopify Rebellion and Deleted Gaming. Very close series and an important one for Shopify. Beating their direct competition to move up in those standings. I'll show you guys at the standings at the end of the video, so make sure you guys stick around. But yeah, very close series back and forth between these two. Shopify has definitely shown some inconsistencies, but when their offense is clicking, they look good. Justin looking good again as well. Very fun series to watch. 9 lives, Netherlands, Canada. 9 lives to me is just the better team. Wasn't too surprised by this one. They came out of the gate swinging and held on. In our quarterfinals and lowers, complexity just too much for Shopify. 3 OTs though, could have went the other way, but complexity to me showcasing that they are an offensive hungry team, consistent, stable, minimize mistakes, and working in a lot more demos than we expected. At one point, I think in this series, which one had the really long OT? I think it was this one. Shopify had a really long OT in one of their series. It must have been this one. No, who are we thinking of? It's this one. This series. In this series, with Evo and 9 lives, Parth had 6 demos. Or not Parth. Kofor. Kofor is a demo machine. Pay attention to it. He demos so much, it's ridiculous. Pretty crazy stuff watching, but Team Evo, despite that, put it away convincingly. RG Masterclass. It was great. It was fun to watch. We then moved on to the semifinals, and the top 2 teams took care of business. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, chat. At the end of the day, there is times in Rocket League where there are some teams that are just simply better. Talent, otherwise, whatever you want to call it, their players are just better than your players, and there's not a whole lot you can do. That was on display for the rest of these. It's nothing to be mean. It's nothing to do. I'm not going to overanalyze. I'm not going to sugarcoat. It is simply NRG has the 3 best players in North America on the same team, and they're going to keep winning. And it is to no surprise. They have the 3 best players working together, bought into a system, and until they are knocked off that pedestal, I expect to see them in the grand finals. Whether they are faltering, whether they're having ups and downs, whether things are looking ugly or not, they're going to be there. It's been 11 events in a row. 9, all 9 of them last year, and 2 more this year. Expect them to be in the grand finals again. Expect me to put them in the grand finals for predictions. Maybe I won't let a coin flip it this time, but NRG is going to be in the grand finals. They are going to the major. They're the first team in North America to secure their spot in Birmingham. Ultimates, I will say, much improved. Looking a lot better than last time. Glad to see them put up a fight. Again, while NRG wins it out, again, close series. 1 goal games in 4 of them. 2 of those being OTs. It is possible for NRG to lose, but reality is they are that team. So that's what I've got. That's what we've got here in North America as we take a look at the rankings. As a reminder, some things to pay attention to. Like I said, NRG, 2 wins. They have secured their spot for the major. They are locked in. Behind them, very, very close. Things to remember. Number 1, if you win an event, it's 15 points. A chance to really shoot up the ladder. So teams like Tech, Space Station, etc., still very much so in the running, depending on how results play out. I will do a playoff scenario, like what teams need to do to make the major type video, the few days leading up to the event. So when it's Friday, it's Europe Regional 3, they're playing. A couple days before that, I'll release those videos telling you all the playoff scenarios and what needs to happen. Teams to pay attention to, and the ones that I would probably give the best mention to, are this group here. My assumption, complexity is going to continue to perform to a top 4, top 6 standard. Unless some crazy upsets happen, I expect them to continue to do that. So because of that, my assumption is NRG, Ultimates, and Complexity have locked in their spot. We have essentially 5 to 6 teams all fighting for 1 spot. And the difference is 2 to 5 points, which is the difference between first and second in a regional. Now, yes, winning a regional completely changes things, and it will guarantee a spot for some of these teams. But the reality is based upon the way the bracket is played out, unless they're the top seed, they're not going to have that happen. These teams are going to fight each other probably in the semis or the quarterfinals for what could be a major spot. Open 3 is going to be sick. Open 3 is going to be a really good time. So my eyes personally are on these 3. I don't foresee Delita doing it. They're going to need a lot of help. They're going to need some tiebreakers. They've got to basically overperform these teams by 2 spots because they got to make up that 4 points. It's not going to be easy. So I am paying attention to these 3 in the next one. As much as I want to say Tech can come in and do some crazy stuff, because I do think Tech's got a good team. Their losses come from NRG and I forget who else. The reality is they have to win the whole event to have a chance. So Tech to me is playing Gatekeeper, and they are trying to make up points going in for split 2 for the major and a chance to go to the World Championship. There definitely got to be a split 2 team. So with that in mind, Evo Space Station 9 Lives, those are your 3 major teams I'm telling to pay attention to. I'll reiterate that in the future videos, but that's what I got for you guys all today. Coming up in the next video, though, we do have recaps on some of the other regions that went down. I'm going to give a dedicated video to those 2 because for the first time in, I'm pretty sure, a couple of years, the top representation in a region is being eliminated. There's going to be EU representation very likely at the major in every single region now. It's going to do it for today's video. As always, like, comment, subscribe, notifications down below, links to everything as well I'm talking about. We'll catch you in the next period. Peace.